Hi, this is Tom Taranto, and welcome to the Tom Taranto Show. On today's episode, we have Trevor with Ideal Impact Media. Welcome, Trevor.
Thank you, Tom.
So today, Trevor's going to be asking me a few questions. So what do you got for me, Trevor?
That's right. It's my turn to ask you some questions. I know you're the host today, but so we know you've been in real estate for 14 years.
That's correct.
You're with Keller Williams here in Brevard.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit, why Keller Williams?
Well, when I started in real estate, I worked for another broker, a small company. And interestingly, the guy that I worked for, his way of teaching us how to do real estate was basically just watch me and see what I do and kind of imitate me. He gave us a few small instructions. And shortly after that, he passed away, and I took over that brokerage. And my brother and I were working together. We had a couple other people. We still didn't really know how to run a real estate business. We were looking at each other like, well, what are the deals? How do you make it work? And actually, about that time, we got a copy of a book that was by Gary Keller. It's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And it's actually a manual about how to run a successful real estate company. I really didn't put two and two together at the time, but a couple years later, we started Taranto Realty, my brother and I. Same questions kept coming up. What are the deals for our agents? What are we offering them? And we got into, we got different lead sources, coaching, training, but I still kept feeling like we were reinventing the wheel, like there has to be a better way. So as time went on, I realized that it simply wasn't working out, and we started looking for other options. So I met a guy who I was thinking I could recruit him to join us, and maybe he would be a good agent. It turned out that he started telling me about the company he worked for, Keller Williams. And that's where I started listening and seeing these guys have a system in place that's clearly successful, and it clearly works.
So tell me more about that. Obviously, that was 2014, I believe you were telling
exactly.
me.
Yep.
So that you were looking to make that transition, and you ultimately did.
Yep.
What are some of the main differences, somebody getting into the business, or maybe somebody who's in the business that realizes there is a better way? What does Keller Williams provide?
So if you look at this book I was referring to by Gary Keller, in the book, you read that there's a system from the day you start in real estate. So someone who's brand new can come into a place like Keller Williams that's got all the training, all the systems in place, and succeed if they just follow the instructions. But it's not just for new agents. It's all the way up to any level of production, literally to no limit. And so the more I've gotten acquainted with what Keller Williams has to offer, they were voted the #1 training company in the world across all industries.
Wow.
And many years in a row, but most recently as well. And that's pretty interesting because at our office, we have training 5 days a week, essentially. People can come in. So a brand new agent, get all the training that they ever would need. But if you're a more successful, higher producing agent, there's training available because there's always someone doing something more than you are. And that's available for higher producing agents. And the interesting thing about Keller Williams is that it's a culture of giving. And so you will talk with agents in our local office, regional, and they will tell you their best secrets. And that was what was surprising to me, is that in normal business, if I'm succeeding in business with my company, I don't go and take my best secrets and just share them with, especially someone who essentially is a competitor. The culture at Keller Williams is more, that there's an abundance mentality, not a scarcity mentality. That I can share my best ideas with you, even if you're at my office, essentially a competitor, and that's just going to come back and we're all going to win. And There's a lot of systems in place why we do win when others in our office, we have a system called profit sharing. So if other people in my office succeed, I benefit as well through the profit sharing system.
Wow. So profit sharing, and all of these are a little different than what other agencies are providing to their agents. And we know real estate, very competitive.
Yes.
A lot of things are changing very quickly.
True.
So having those tools at your fingertips makes a big difference between success and failure. And there's a lot of options of other agencies and brokerages to work for.
True.
So when you were looking out in the world at other, brokerages, and you ultimately chose Keller Williams, now it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Would you say that's the biggest difference, the collaboration and learning and education?
The culture is huge, and it surprised me. So I haven't been at a lot of other, the big names that you know about. So I don't really have a personal experience of the atmosphere, but I've heard stories, and I know the culture at Keller Williams. We see it's a very giving, a very success-oriented culture. It helps people to get a business mentality, so that I just felt really foolish when I started talking with the ones that were higher up than me and seeing that they're thinking in terms of a business mentality for everything. And a lot of the stuff that I was doing, I was just winging it. And so I've learned from them. But yes, Keller Williams has technology in place, and they're developing technology extremely rapidly now. That's the new thing. In fact, Keller Williams is now officially calling themselves a technology company.
Wow.
And we just happen to sell real estate. So the agents are getting more and more of this technology to compete with these big companies that consumers are using, that are essentially, online technology companies.
The industry in Florida, real estate, doing very well.
Yes.
I mean, maybe things are petering off from their big peak. Tell me a little bit about the industry as a whole and being able to respond to how quickly things are changing. What's your perspective being in the business, as long as you have seen the ups and downs and ebbs and flows?
So I think that's back to the training and development. Keller Williams, after he wrote this book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the next book came out was called Shift. It was an entire book about how to handle a shifting market. Well, that was good in 2008, 2009, 2011, but we're needing to get that book out again. And Keller Williams, again, we're teaching our agents how to handle a shifting market. And a lot of it has to do with building your relationships with people in your database, your friends, your family, your past clients. And it's not about a quick fix or some online lead source, but it's about learning how to communicate with people that you already know. So again, things like that. I don't know of other companies who have a shift book and have the shift training. At our company, we have coaching available at every level. So a brand new agent, first day on the job, can have access to a productivity coach. And top producing agents at multi-million-dollar production, they have access to coaches who can really help them to reach their highest potential. So looking at the company itself, there's literally no limit where, well, this is all you can do if you're at Keller Williams. We have agents who have built expansion teams using the infrastructure that Gary Keller has built, and they've got 1,000 agents essentially on their team.
Wow.
So, I mean, it doesn't have to be just you as one person selling a lot of houses. Teams were a big part of Keller Williams from early on, pretty much before anyone else really had team structures. Personality tests, where we test personality to see where a person will fit on a team, to make sure that we're putting the right people in the right places. Things that are available to us through Keller Williams that, again, I don't know of a lot of companies that have those kind of things.
Yeah. And it sounds like a very proactive approach when you're talking about shift as well.
Yes.
We know that things aren't going to stay the same. If anything, things are going to change more quickly than they ever have.
Yes.
And being prepared to look to the next shift, the next change, and being prepared for that from a corporate standpoint all the way down to boots on the ground. So
Yep.
That's very interesting to hear. And that's a market too that, it's very susceptible to those small economic changes. Interest rates go up a little bit, all of a sudden people start freaking out, and it dramatically changes things. So
Yep.
being able to, ride those waves when they're good,
Yeah.
and then preparing for yourself when the things make those minor dips or flows, very interesting. And then ultimately that feeds back to being able to service your clients and your community, and building the relationships you talk about. So tell me a little bit more about that. Obviously, being a part of a community, everybody knows if they're going to be a successful real estate agent, they need to be a part of the community.
Yep.
So what do you get involved with? What is Keller Williams? Because obviously they're a national brand.
Yeah.
They're huge.
So I don't know if everybody knows that Keller Williams has a massive charity organization called KW Cares.
Wow.
And they are spending millions of dollars on these natural disasters that we've seen, and agents will donate to KW Cares right from their closings, right out of their commission. They'll give a portion of it. And just go online and Google KW Cares, and you can see a lot of these recent natural disasters, semi-trucks going in and helping the people in the community. We have something every year called Red Day, and that is one day out of the year where essentially all the Keller Williams agents will get on their work clothes, go out into the community, and do something to benefit the community, whether it be children's shelters or something that they decide in their local office to go out and do something good for the community. It's a charitable day that they've chosen once a year. That's part of the culture that Keller Williams has. Also, one of the things, if you look at the leadership all the way up to Gary Keller, is it's very agent-centric. He wants to take care of his agents. A lot of the other companies out there are owned by big corporations and investors, and why it might work for somebody, if you look deeper, there's basically shareholders behind there that they just want it to be profitable. And as we see technology shifting, there's more people or more companies where the agent's susceptible to being cut out. There's lenders who are starting to try to be a one-stop shopping, and they will provide the realtor for a small fee. And it's changing the dynamics of the industry that we have. But we feel that we can't be replaced if we're close with the people that we know. And the complexity of selling a piece of real estate, it's not the same as buying a travel agent, buying a flight or a hotel online. There's a lot more to it when you're selling a house. So us as people, we're here to stay, and we need to help our clients to do this very complex transaction. But at the same time, we know that technology is just exploding. In fact, artificial intelligence is something that's just exploding. And in the future, artificial intelligence we'll be able to look at something and get answers that just would blow your mind. Wow. Gary Keller started artificial intelligence a couple of years ago, so we're already several years ahead of the competition in terms of what we're going to be able to do with our technology side.
Awesome. So navigating that sale, helping your customers navigate that sale, robots and computers and machines aren't replacing that anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody thinks that that's something that's going to be easy to happen, does not know what a good real estate agent actually does in terms of keeping the transaction together. You've got people, two parties, you've got houses that have faults and issues. Right. There's so much to it that it's not something that you just click a price and it's done. It's complicated. Although at the same time, I know that some of the consumers are more informed than ever before. They've got more information than literally ever before. When I started 14 years ago, they didn't have anywhere near as much information as they do today. So we recognize they're informed. Their question is, what is our role as the fiduciary helping them with this transaction?
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is people, but then also understanding structures and building and being able to see and navigate with contractors.
And the law, and real estate law, and helping them to not cross any lines and filling out the forms. So there is a lot to it. And again, we're part of the fact that we're just so focused on training our people to stay up to date and constantly teaching them, so that whatever the shifts, both in the technology shifts and the shifts in the market, that our agents are able to survive. As we said earlier, that 90% of real estate agents fail. Mm-hmm. That's simply because they think it looks easy, and when they get down to it, the phone doesn't ring. They spend money on different types of marketing, but it's not enough to get to closing. And it's not as easy as it looks, and that's why having a company that's built to not reinvent the wheel, that it's all there for you, that's something that's just amazing, I think, for any agent considering. If someone's not happy where they're at, they can give me a call and I can tell them more about what benefit they might get from Keller Williams.
You beat me to the punch. So my next question was, I wanted to start with somebody who isn't in the industry.
Yeah.
And they're looking around and they're saying, man, I'm seeing some friends. I'm seeing that, this looks like an industry I want to get into. Yeah. What is the first step and what should they be looking out for if they want to become a real estate agent?
If they've decided that that's what they want to do, obviously they got to get their state license. They look into what that takes. And consider then what brokerage that they would want to join. I'll give you some stats. When I started only 4 years ago, it was like 75,000 people at Keller Williams. We're 190,000 today. Wow. That is an insane trajectory of growth. A lot of those people are coming from other brokerages who just aren't happy with the systems. One of the things that agents often ask first about is, what's your commission split? Is it a 70-30, an 80-20, or what's your split? And the interesting thing about Keller Williams is they have a split, but it's capped. So the question starts to become kind of irrelevant depending on how much more you're making. So what you're getting for the money is a huge value for the money. So, that's a question, a relevant question. But obviously, if somebody, there's places out there where you could have almost no split, essentially. You can pay almost nothing to join. But the question is, what are you getting for that? Is
resources
it going to help
and
you?
Tools.
Yeah, so it's just an extreme value for the money. Then if you add to it the potential profit share, you get someone else to join Keller Williams and you get some profit share. That can actually offset what you're paying in your split. So you could essentially be paid to work at Keller Williams, not paying anything at all. So, if you look at your profit share versus what you're paying the brokerage.
As you recruit other people.
Yeah. So, there's potential for it. That's one of the first questions. That shouldn't be the most important question. The most important question should be, where am I most likely to succeed? 90% fail. So, and I strongly feel that Keller Williams is the best place for a new agent to join. You're going to get so much training, so much support. And then again, it's not just there that you're going to have to switch later. You can see resources for coaching. We have something called BOLD, which is an intense training over 7 weeks that really pushes the agents to the limits. It changes your mindset. It helps you to think differently, get out of your comfort zone. And agents that go into BOLD, they get sales out of it. They push themselves and they learn and they sell houses.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, Tom, this has been really eye-opening. I really appreciate letting me be on your show.
Thank you.
And grilling you. So going into all the detail on Keller Williams and the real estate and just how to be successful. And I really appreciate it. So thank you, Tom.
Thank you for coming. And if anyone's interested in Keller Williams, they can give me a call or message me and I'll give you more information.